Hey everybody, thank you so much
Hey.
for coming on and watching this. We are so excited. Me and Nick have been looking forward to doing these podcasts for a while now. So we're finally being able to sit down and make this happen. So I'm super excited to
Absolutely, we are super excited to be here. Like she said, it's been a little bit a long time in the making for sure. But that being said, we are happy to bring this to you. We think it'll really help. The Lord has really led us to want to do a podcast, so we're just gonna wing it. We're just trying to be obedient, and move forward with that, and give it our best shot. So, with that being said, without further ado, today's subject is we're going to share a little bit about the struggles we've had in our experience with our strength and conditioning, the different pitfalls and trials and tribulations that we've gone through since we started working out and working on our nutrition and doing what we've been trying to do in order to reach our goals. Maybe even bring in a little bit of business, just because it's what we do as personal trainers and coaches, to really shed some light, to show you that, hopefully to inspire and motivate you, to help you move forward and get past your own trials and stuff like that, as well as just to remind you that you're not alone. We're all struggling. We all have something we're struggling with, something we're all trying to overcome. So each of us is beating our head against the grind and sculpting, if you will, the beautiful statue that we're wanting to sculpture of ourselves. I can't remember the famous saying. It's some Roman or Socrates or Stoicism or something where to improve yourself, man suffers because he is both the chisel and the marble.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. So I've butchered it, but people will know what I'm talking about. So, and also just to remind you that, we're personal trainers. We do this for a living. We're professionals when it comes to health and fitness and helping change lives. But we too still struggle. We too are still human.
Yeah.
So with that being said, would you like to go first or me?
I'll go first.
All
That way
right.
you can
So
you can share yours.
let's talk about a struggle you've been through. It could be any of them, the biggest one, the first one. What are you thinking?
Okay, so for me, one of my biggest struggles, honestly, was my mindset.
Yeah.
Because that was something that really my whole life, I didn't even know where to start when it came to a lot of stuff and my health and my fitness. So I felt like I was kind of winging it at the very beginning. I had spent time focusing on my physical or my spiritual and my mental health.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had been able to at least be somewhat educated about that. But the other stuff, I was like, man, where do I even start with the physical stuff? So I was so thankful whenever I met you, because then you showed me all of that and were able to teach me. And then I was like, this all aligned with everything that I knew with both the mental and the spiritual. It all aligned. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is the third pillar I've been missing. That's like the trifecta, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. It's
So,
the other piece of the triangle, other piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, and it made sense because it aligned. I saw the parallels between, it was all about your habits. It was all about growing and progressing and not being stagnant, but moving forward. And those are all things those are huge lessons in a lot of different areas in life. So that was something that I really struggled with the physical side. I didn't think that I deserved or was worthy of having a lifestyle like that.
Yeah.
For some reason, that was something that it just wasn't placed as like hey, this is possible in your life.
Yeah.
I was constantly told that wouldn't happen. And so that was hard. But mostly because I looked around and I thought, am I just going to accept that fate? I was like, is older Branda going to do that? Is she just going to, am I going to get 20 years down the road and I can't fit in any of the clothes that I was wearing then, that day,
Yeah.
And I thought, man, what do I want to do? What do I want my future to look like? But there was a lot of mindset stuff I had to overcome because of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you?
Well, before we talk about me, I'd like to talk a little bit more about you. Because the first question I've got is or maybe not a question per se, but for the viewers and people listening to the podcast, if you're viewing it, if you're listening to it, whichever is great, we're just appreciative that you're giving us your undivided attention and your time. For context's sake, could you describe how you were, and what your body and condition physically, and just where
Like
you
how
were?
I was?
How you were when you started this, when we first met.
Yeah.
When we first met. And
When
like
we
maybe,
first met.
or maybe not when we first met.
Well, no,
'cause-
listen, this
yeah.
is good.
You get where I'm going with
I know
this,
exactly
though.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
So when we first met, I was getting ready to go to college. I was out of high school. I had been homeschooled though for a couple years, and so I tried to stay active. I had just been exposed to like weightlifting at school.
Yeah.
But loved it. Like I wasn't opposed to it, whereas I hated the running. And so I was like, I thought that you had to be like a runner. You had to do like extensive amount of cardio,
Yeah.
and then eat like a rabbit
Yeah.
to be healthy and to be like fit or whatever. So that's all I thought, and I thought, well, man, like that just seems like not a great life. Like,
Yeah.
but I mean, for some people that is.
Yeah.
Some people do that, and they are doing that for very important reasons.
Absolutely.
But so whenever we first met, every time I went into the gym, I just worked out everything, and I would be there for a while, and I would just do random stuff, and ended up being a total body workout. But like I wanted to struggle to walk on my legs. Like I wanted my legs to be shaking by the end of the workout.
Yeah.
And
You know
and
what
I felt like
you know what we're talking
You know what I'm
about.
talking about.
Yeah, you know.
And it was like I pushed myself so hard.
If you know, you know.
But there was no direction.
Yeah.
So I was super lost and misguided in that area. But then I talked with you, and you were like, I was like, hey, you're a trainer. Like, what do you do for workouts? And because I was in college, so I was like,
Yeah.
and then
Dating trainer. Let me
but-
tell you, the good old days.
But you told me about like how you structured things. I was like, wow, this guy's got structure.
Yeah.
And I was like, that would be nice to not have to go in and totally kill myself every single time I went into the gym.
Yeah.
Why I thought I had to do that, I guess I don't know, but I always had to, when I did it back then,
Yeah.
because I started working out a little bit, because I just finally had access to a gym.
Yeah.
I was working out, and I lost weight in college.
Yeah.
Most people gain weight when they go to college. I lost weight because I finally had access to a gym. But that also showed me now I look back and I go, wow, my body reacted very well.
Yeah,
And I was like,
right,
that's nice.
Right. Them good genes.
So,
And that's something that I've found that
Mm-hmm.
in the past decade or so of coaching too, is it's always funny. It doesn't always happen, but with some people, they have these really good genetics and they're able to do amazing things, but they don't discover it until much later in life. Yeah, exactly. Like, just for context's sake, Branda at one point was 85 pounds heavier.
yes, I was.
And struggled with
yeah,
that.
I hadn't gotten to that part yet.
Yeah, sorry, and state record powerlifter as well. So that's where I'm referring
Yeah.
to the good genetics. I've always just found that funny because
Yeah.
some people never had an interest in it, or for whatever reason, whether it was your life, your interest, personality. You get what I'm trying to say. They just they just something they never dabbled in, and then they come work with me or in some capacity, and then we find whoa, you're a little bit superhuman there. I've always found that interesting and funny. I wanted to interject that.
Well, and you're the trainer. Of course God would bring you people like that.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I guess when you
So-
I hadn't thought of it that way yet. So
God knew.
yeah, God knew for sure.
But yeah, I didn't know what to do with my nutrition. I didn't know any of that kind of stuff. So after I lost access to a gym, and then I didn't take it seriously for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just out on my own. So
Yeah.
that beginning stage
Absolutely.
of just independence, and I didn't want to listen for a while, and it was so I had gotten up to 265 pounds,
Yeah.
and but then still was like confident.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like,
Oh yeah.
I was not I wasn't exactly like ashamed of myself,
No.
but but I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah.
You know, like I knew that I had a few things I wouldn't mind toning up. I didn't mind being strong. Like I didn't mind any of that stuff.
You
so,
have your areas. Like if at the end of
Yeah.
the day, and that's something I want to share too, even as trainer Nick here, being in the shape I'm blessed to be in at this point. We all have something we want to improve on our bodies.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are.
every single person.
Arnold Schwarzenegger had things he
Yes.
wanted to improve about on his body. You know, pro
Yeah, that's
bodybuilders
such a good
always
point.
have things that they want to improve.
Yes.
The entire world, 8 billion people and counting, if you will.
Every single one probably has something
Something.
that they would like to
100%.
improve, work on with their body, with their health,
Yeah.
anything like that.
If
their
I could take a second to be vulnerable, I'll share something that I don't like about myself right now, or let me rephrase it and say, this is something I want to improve.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm 175 pounds at the recording of this video. I weighed this morning, and I'd like to get back to 200 pounds. I think that'd be a really good weight for me. I can't imagine, I'd be super strong, and everything I've learned through all the crap I've been through in the past almost 5 years at this point, like, I've learned a lot about the nutrition and digestive health. I've learned about a lot of the lifestyle habits and what I need to focus on outside of the gym and kitchen and everywhere else in the world to make sure I get where I want to be. I understand training to such a better degree now and understand much more advanced training to where, I could really optimize and make the most out of what I've spent the majority of my life learning. So, there are things I want to improve as well. Even at this point, I would love to be 200 pounds again. So I totally get it. Maybe you're wanting to lose weight. Maybe you're wanting to gain weight, get leaner.
Yep.
Maybe you're wanting to be able to run 5 miles. Whatever your goal is, it doesn't have to be scale related. It doesn't have to be mirror related. Maybe you're wanting to be able to run a 5K or a marathon or compete in a powerlifting meet or bodybuilding. Tough Mudder, the Murph Challenge,
Yes.
CrossFit. I don't know. I'm just throwing as many things out there as I can to relate to people.
And not just that, but even the everyday things that we do, being able to function.
Yeah, 100%.
Like
Or
it
just
goes
be able to get
all across the board.
be able to sit on the toilet.
Literally for just simple things like being able to carry in your groceries, being
Carrying
able
your groceries, be able to pick up your grandchildren.
picking up and playing with them,
Yeah.
being able to make memories with them. We have lots of we've got a niece and soon to be nieces and nephews, and so we've got lots of kids in our lives, and
We
I
are
realize
what they call outnumbered.
and they
significantly.
love to be able to play with us, and they're so excited because whenever we come over, we can actually play with them.
Yeah.
Like I spent so much time wrestling my nephews the other day, and it was a blast. And even though that just helps you, keep your inner child. So even being able to just simply play with children,
Absolutely.
with whoever it is that is close to you, being able to have that. So
I'd like to personally share as well too, it is the coolest, the cutest thing ever to watch a 3-year-old come up to you and flex real hard and get a front double bicep. So I'm just wanting to throw that out there that 110% being Uncle Nick showed him.
Uncle
Lord.
Nick did it.
Uncle Nick did it.
That's what he
I'm
says.
seeing the consequences of my actions.
No, it's so
But
cute.
it's so cute. But you get what I'm saying. And you can
impact them.
You impact them, and they remember that value. They know us because we're in good shape. We stand out to them because we're in good shape, because we're mobile, we're functional. We can get down and play with them and wrestle them and run around with them and chase them around.
Kids naturally
the yard.
have that draw to be active.
Absolutely.
So they love that. And
So the fact that we're able to still move around like they can, they absolutely love that. So yeah, exactly.
There's so many reasons.
So many reasons to do it, and so much you can impact just by running around, just by flexing. You know how it be. Just there you go. So my next question would be, sorry that we're still hyper focused on you.
okay.
Okie dokie. I'm glad you're cool with that. So my next one is, like you said, at one point you were 265 pounds. And now you're not. Now you are beautiful, and not that you weren't beautiful before, but absolutely beautiful now. Stunning, if you will. That being said, obviously there was a change. So what do you believe, describe that mindset change that you finally were able to shift for those at home who may be stuck in the same spot and thinking, I just need that shift. How if you could, give us the details and share how your thought processes were, how things changed, maybe a little comparison and compare and contrast, of like, you know, how old Branda used to look at things and think, how does new Branda look like? Just tell us everything. And I'm going to shut up now.
Well, let's see. Old Branda thought that eating healthy meant that, like I said, that it had to be like bland foods, all veggies, you know, and I loved meat. Growing up, I loved my protein. But so then when I got older, and I learned about how, like, dude, protein is, like, one of the most important things.
Yeah.
And I was like...
Fact.
Bro, that's game-changing. So I realized that, because you taught me how to find a nutrition plan that, like, met me where I was, but then it helped me get to my goals. Because it really is, like, at the end of the game, your nutrition is more of a numbers game than you realize.
Yeah.
And so it's more of just input and output with how you're using that energy and like those calories. So when I realized that changed my mindset. I wasn't so worried about what I ate all the time, and especially with what we do, because what we do for our nutrition is we pretty much listen to our bodies, and whatever foods our bodies react well to, those are the foods we eat.
We don't eat foods we like. We eat foods that like us.
Exactly. So when I started doing that, then that also lined with my relationship with God, because then I knew that this was the temple that God has given me, and I need to take care of it, and I need to, God has created our bodies in amazing ways, so He already put everything, like, He pieced everything together. Our bodies already tell us what we need.
Amen.
There are so many different cool things about how God has created our bodies. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So when I realized that, nutrition was easy. Like, and I'm not saying that it was the concept of nutrition.
Okay.
Because it was the, like, there's the day-to-day, the implementing things, the actually doing it. Yes, there's all that stuff. But
easy in theory
my
and
mindset,
easy in concept.
that was the mindset switch.
It just felt simpler, and then you could...
It wasn't so complicated anymore.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It didn't seem so impossible.
Absolutely.
Because I felt like I finally was able, like, it was possible. Because, the whole time I just figured, and growing up I was a really picky eater, so there was so much food I didn't like that was like that, and so I just thought it was impossible. And so then hearing it was possible, I was like, so you're saying that there's a chance?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, 100. Yep,
so that was exciting. I always was like, man, that'd be really cool. So that was one.
So simplifying things. Okay,
just
cool.
It being simplified, realizing that we overcomplicate and I overthought all of it.
Yeah.
So I was just jumping to conclusions. I was assuming things, and I didn't take the time to actually learn it. I also really didn't know a lot of people who were healthy.
Yeah.
And that were just sometimes really rude people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so, but that was just my perspective. I also did not meet a lot of. I wasn't around. Like, I wasn't in a gym. These were people who had gone to school for it, but were not practicing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And they
that's
didn't.
The truth.
That was the stuff I was. And then they would degrade everyone around them for not being healthy.
Yeah, I understand that.
So when I got judged walking through the door because I had a soda as a kid, then I didn't have a good, a nutritionist or a trainer didn't have a good reputation in my heart.
Yeah.
So you helped heal that part. So I was able to kind of understand, okay, but it's not a general thing. And that was a lesson, just growing up that I learned as well.
Oh, yeah.
And so whenever as you just mature as well, then you start to look at things differently. So
absolutely.
I think there's a part of that too. Obviously that has definitely played a part in it. But
oh, for sure.
My mindset shift.
And I can relate to that as well, because I didn't know much about nutrition growing up. Like, something that's always said to me, like with the weightlifting since I started at 12, is that, oh, you had such a head start and you were a little kid, so it was so much easier back then, or, you know, you could implement the habit and you had the energy and whatnot. I didn't really start learning a lot about nutrition until like my 19 and 20. So I guess I can kind of relate to the mindset shift more as an adult, because I was definitely not an adult at 19 and 20. Not at all saying that, but I wasn't a child.
No, I was a kid.
Yeah, but I wasn't like a little kid, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you described it that way, because I can relate to that as well. Because I remember as I started to understand stuff that it definitely opened my mind up, because there was different phases, like just understanding just enough to keep me alive, where it's like, you know, I used to log everything I put in my mouth for, you know, months and years at a time, every day, because I didn't know enough I knew just enough to know what I needed and to succeed, but I needed so much help with everything, like an app. And tracking all my macros, and I used to hyperfixate, not necessarily like micromanage, like down to the calorie and down to the gram of protein, but I always kept track and tried to keep all of my macros in a certain spot. I used to only eat, like, you know, you count on one hand how many foods I used to eat, where now I feel like it's even less now, but it's I have more variation, because you cook stuff for us for more variation. But I guess what I'm trying to say here is,
you're cookie cutter.
Yeah, it's not cookie cutter.
Yeah,
cookie cutter, and then not. I used to stress over everything. Like, I had to log it. We don't log anything anymore, because we're just at that point and at that experience level and at that level of mastery. But there's a journey with it. You know, like I said, phase 1, not knowing anything. Phase 2, I guess I'll eat a little bit more broccoli and chicken and rice. Phase 3, realizing, you know, and I'm saying phase 3, you know, just another phase or another season or stage of, oh, hey, you know, it's not all chicken, rice, and broccoli. You can have beef under certain circumstances. Yogurt's okay. For some people, dairy's going to be okay. For other people, you know, red meats are going to be okay. You know, eggs are okay. Whereas you used to be super strict and dialed in. And then as time goes on, you realize that there's not as much to worry about, because it does become simpler. It's like, instead of specifically having to have chicken or fish, pick a meat.
Yeah.
You know?
Being able to simplify it.
Instead of absolutely having to do white rice. Hey, you can have a potato. You can maybe have a banana or something else.
Or even like a sweet potato.
Or a for your carb source. And then, you know, understanding that, hey, it's okay to enjoy my fats, because I understand that I need it for hormones, sustenance, and maintenance, as well as fat is what makes food taste good. That's what you're tasting, as well as you just need it for keeping you warm. And but
and
it
your
has
hormones, even balancing your hormones.
Exactly, balancing your hormones. But understanding that everything has a purpose, so there's no reason to cut things out. You want to have that well balanced diet.
Yeah.
And that things, you know, once you realize your horizons do broaden with what you can have, it does become simpler. Like I said, it's not the specific chicken; it's a meat.
Yeah.
So I can understand where you're saying there, to kind of bring it back around and wrap that up. One of the big mindset shifts was just finally realizing and having that perspective shift that it's simple. This is all very simple. The what makes all of this, all 4 areas of strength and conditioning, your mindset and spirituality, your lifestyle, your training, and your nutrition, all 4 areas, they're all very simple once you know what you're doing and once you know what is true. Because I understand there's a lot of information out there that throws people off, and it's not that the information is misinformation. I would say it's more of a contextual thing. Context matters. People are not implementing the right things under the right context and circumstances.
Yes, I agree.
And just not being consistent enough and stuff like that. But you just kind of realize that I was kind of losing it there. That it is a lot simpler and stuff, and you're able to, not
overthink it so much.
Yeah, you don't have to overthink it so much, and you're able to really pinpoint and understand what you need to do, and then it becomes not having to do things specifically, but follow certain rules, and then you have more freedom of choice, and you're able to implement it better. All 4 of these, I remember what I was going with now to bring it back.
Woo, sweet.
All 4 areas are very simple in concept once you know what you're doing. It is application and implementation. Taking the actual actions themselves is what makes this so unbelievably hard. That's what gives us jobs, because we are having to help people, because accountability itself is so valuable and so important.
Yep.
And just making sure that you're consistent in doing it correctly day in and day out is hard, you know?
It is hard.
It is hard.
Well, and especially when you have all these things in life coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're trying to juggle going to the gym, eating right, and then and prioritizing your health in a society that tells you you don't have to do that, but you should serve everyone else around you.
Exactly.
And completely ignore yourself and your health and your mental health and all that stuff, right? So you have all that. Then you are, if you're a wife, if you're a mother, you're taking care of a lot of people in your household.
Yeah.
If you are a father, you're have a lot of
working
roles
your
that
butt
you
off,
are
providing for everything.
Yes, there's a lot of tasks that you're
everything.
doing, and you're leading the household.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to do there. You might be the one who's doing a lot of the projects just to keep the house together. You might be the one who is the one who solely provides for the house financially. You could be, there's so much that falls on them too. So men and women both, they struggle so much. And I know even some people, it's with their career. Maybe they work so much, you know, that they've just completely put their health and their fitness to the side.
Yeah.
So, but we all have had different things that we struggle with. So whatever that looks like we have our own set of challenges that we struggle with, even being in the career path that we're in. And where, like, this is our job. You would think that with this being our job, that we should be perfect at it, right?
And it's not easy for us either. And I want to throw
perfect.
this. I don't know. I've always thought this was interesting, and I wanted to share it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It may come off as me just complaining, but I've always wanted to share it because just so people understand the perspective. But like, you know, being fitness professionals, we're expected to be at such a much higher level and much closer to perfection. So, like, we feel the pressure as
people
well.
just assume.
Yeah, they assume, and we
Which I understand.
feel the pressure as well. Yeah, absolutely. So we totally get it, and like I said before, we want to be better. Everybody wants to be better than what they are, to improve. Everybody wishes they had things they could change. Like I said, I want to be bigger and stronger, and have better heart health and cardio health. All that good stuff. I mean, everybody's got stuff they want to improve on. The other thing is not only simplifying it, but I think the other thing, or at least what I got out of it, was just finally, once you realize how simple it is, and once you realize, this is going to take action, you have to be consistent at it, take action. It's simple. It's just the application and implementation. Yeah. It's to submit yourself to the process, to kind of surrender that. There is a little bit of surrender there.
Well, yeah, and if you think about it, that goes in more than one way. We know that. But
the spiritual biblical sense, but also just in the sense that you realize that I'm gonna have to get this done,
like,
and this is what I'm gonna have to do. I can't cut those corners, And I think I've heard you say it before in other content that we shot, and you just shared it with me. She had to finally realize that I knew what I was talking about, and that you had to trust me. You had to trust me, and so For some people out there, it could be, finally hiring a trainer, or working with us specifically, or anybody else out there for matter, or having an accountability partner to go through everything with, or someone who cares. Like, there's varying levels of it, but there is some sort of submission in realizing that, you're not where you want to be, and you're going to have to make sacrifices to be there. Like, just to give myself a personal example, when we got invited to work at the gym here at the lake area, I had to understand that I had to admit that I wasn't diligent enough to work out on my own, and that being able to help people over there actually was very beneficial to me too, because now I almost never miss a workout, and I struggled to get all my workouts in, and that was something I had to admit to myself. I just had to be like, hey, I don't always get my workouts in. I don't always get things in doing
we all need accountability.
Doing solely remote work. So when we took this when we took this wonderful opportunity at the gym,
Yeah.
I realized, holy cow, this is going to benefit me as well. And then
Same, me too.
and we get to participate in some of the classes and help out with them
Yeah.
too.
And that's helped me tremendously.
Oh my goodness gracious, So understand, that's the example I like to share. I had to realize that I wasn't as diligent as I thought I was,
Yeah.
and I too needed help and incentive.
We're human.
Yeah.
Well, and I think for me, one thing that really helped me as well in my mindset shift was realizing that and knowing that I was bad at making decisions.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to like making dinner and stuff like that, and where we're gonna eat out, or like different things like that, I am being able to make better decisions now.
Yeah.
Even though I'm still a woman, so sometimes it takes me a little bit. Okay, I'm not saying that I'm quick at making decisions all the time, but believe me, I'm so much better at making decisions now because of that. Whereas before, you could not ask me. Don't even ask me, because I didn't know. You would be waiting there for a while.
Yeah.
I could not make decisions to save my life. Now I'm able to. It might take me a little bit, but it's because I'm working through all the variables, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's where it's at, right?
Yeah.
So there's been a huge shift, I believe, for me in that as well. So it's kind of helped me, that structure.
Yeah.
And having that, like, if you submit to that, you're going to see all the benefits from it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
110%.
Yeah, and kind of understanding things and having better understanding now gives you a little bit more freedom of choice, because you know what you're doing and you know what's safe and what's not.
Yes, I feel like I'm more guided in my
and I feel like that
direction as well.
And that makes your decision making so much easier whenever you can
does.
actually choose a little bit of what you want and not just have to follow something.
Yes,
when you can have your own choices.
It's unique because every person's unique.
Yeah.
So us doing things, it needs to be something that's going to work and fit, not necessarily fit you, but is going to fit in your lifestyle.
Absolutely.
It's going to be something that you enjoy doing. It's going to be something that you look forward to.
Absolutely.
Instead of just completely wanting to just ride it off. You
Absolutely.
gotta find the process, because there's options, and that's what's so nice.
Absolutely.
Is that there is options. There's wiggle room,
for
to
sure.
be able to find your groove within your health and fitness, which is amazing. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah. Amen. Praise God. The example I've always liked to use, or just what I've noticed in my experience, is when I first started doing nutrition for people, and putting together plans for them, I used to only give them certain things they could eat. It was very limited, and I gave them just a meal plan on follow exactly, and it worked when they followed it. But the funny thing is what they followed, they were lucky to follow it for 5 to 7 days. I think a couple made it to 9 or 10, and most of them gave up within 2 days. So that didn't help at all. So telling you what to eat doesn't help. But what we've found that helps, and this goes along with our freedom of choice and having options, is we'd rather have you follow a certain set of rules than eat a certain set of foods. So, like, hey, prioritize your protein. Make sure you're within a certain calorie range, and pick wholesome, natural, whole foods instead of processed stuff.
Yeah,
like,
real food.
Yeah.
Real food.
Stay out of the frozen food section as much as you can.
Yeah.
Avoid it. Run.
Right.
But that being said, just following a few of those rules and making sure you stay within certain parameters on, like with the calorie budget and the calorie range, and making sure you're getting enough protein, and then just making sure that you're doing as many home cooked meals, whether they're cooked by you, cooked by, a chef if you got it, or, your spouse. That's where I'm lucky. Home cooked meals by you. Thank God. So much. But whenever you're doing the more natural stuff like that, just following those 3 rules alone makes a significant difference for like 99, 95, 99% of the clients we've worked with, where they're like, wow, I'm actually able to follow this. Like one I was talking to today, I asked him about it. When he started, he was like, what am I going to have to eat? Is this food bill going to break the bank? Because he, in the past, working with other trainers and kind of doing his own thing, and what his understanding was he had to eat very specific foods that ended up like the kale and the avocados and stuff. And
Like, it had to be certain green stuff.
yeah, and not to dog on those at all,
Yeah,
because
those are
they're
good
good.
things.
They're great for you. It's just that they're kind of that cookie cutter nutrition plan that a lot of people think they gotta follow, and it ended up costing him
Me
a
included.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we gave him our nutrition parameters. He was able to save a lot on food. He told me today that he's super stoked because he's got that freedom of choice and he's got options. He ran out of chicken this week, but he's got beef and eggs he can still focus on, and knowing that those are okay made him so excited because this was gonna work for him. He was already seeing results. He's only been working with us for 2 weeks,
Yeah, not long.
3 weeks, and he's already gained like at least 2 or 3 pounds, and really just getting stronger.
He's already seeing those
and
results.
he's having fun. He's so pumped. He feels great.
Mm-hmm.
He's enjoying it.
Yeah.
I may or may not pull the social proof up with the text messages. This dude is stoked. So we're really proud of you that, and shout outs to you, buddy.
Yeah.
But just to give you an idea, that freedom of choice, it's easier to follow, easier
Yeah.
to stay strictly adhere to. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Much easier to follow, much easier to adhere to,
helps a lot.
and it's kind of fun. It's kind
It
of fun
is
at a
fun.
certain point. Once you get to where you want to be, and get to that certain level of understanding, and it takes a while of logging food. It takes time of just doing this for
Yeah,
every day.
It's just it's that first of, like, even when you're starting a new job. Like,
Yeah.
you go in, you just gotta get the rundown of how it works, and once you do it a while, you figure it out, and it becomes muscle memory.
And you
It's
figure out
just-
all these little tips and tricks.
You
on how
figure
to-
all these shortcuts. You learn all this stuff. Like, you kind of master whatever skill or whatever it is that you're having to do. Sometimes, like, for the most part, that's kind of like the learning curve, the learning process.
Yeah.
In a new job or a new career or a
Absolutely.
new skill. So then you come over to your health and fitness. It's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
So you talked about, like, having fun. For instance, today I can't tell you the joy that I had throwing a sandbag 10 feet up in the air
Oh yeah.
behind me.
Yeah. You looked like you was having fun.
I grunted and I yelled after every single one, and that made me feel so much better after all that today. I pushed myself so hard today, but it wasn't like in a bad way. It was good. I felt awesome.
Yeah.
But that was like, there's such a good mental thing that happens whenever you go through stuff like that and you find something in your training that you really enjoy, whatever that looks like.
Are you saying that you enjoyed training and enjoyed lifting and throwing a sandbag today, and it wasn't grueling, back-breaking, torturous work?
Yes.
Are you saying that you had a good time?
I'm saying
And that when you threw the sandbag over, you made sure to film it, and you didn't even make it home before you sent it to me? You were so excited about what you did today?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you heard it here, folks. You can have fun while you're training. You may be out there thinking it's the worst part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I need not name drop. But, anyways, yeah, you maybe you hate it now, and you probably didn't like it that much in the beginning.
Well, I mean, and you have to
I know
do trial and error
I know
and find
in the
things
I know
that
in the
you like.
prep for. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead and repeat what you said, so you're not talking over me.
Learning the different styles of training. You learn that there is such a broad spectrum of things that can be done in the fitness area. So when you learn that, you can try different things,
Yeah.
different training styles, different methods, different approaches, and you can find something that you like.
Absolutely.
So knowing that, I've tried a few things.
Absolutely.
I've been able to kind of do, have different seasons in my life where I stuck to a certain type of a training
Yes.
routine, and I've been able to change it. And I even I was talking with Greg today, with him about different training and how he said he's been training for way longer than I've even been alive.
I was gonna say, if I'm remembering what he said right, it's about 43 years.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Longer than both of us have been alive.
But he even said that he has changed and switched up his workouts and the way he trains so many times you can't even count.
Yeah.
And so I was like, see, that's something that, like, all of us, we can try new things as we go, so it doesn't have to be like you're not going to get bored, I promise.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be able to find something that you enjoy, and maybe you enjoy that for a while, and then maybe if it gets to the point that you feel kind of stale in that area, then maybe try something a little bit different. Shift your goals a little
Absolutely.
bit. And see, like, what else you might like and you might enjoy, and don't be afraid to try something new.
Yeah, and not to keep quoting Stan Efferding, but I believe it's just that important. To wrap up a little bit of that, the best exercise is the one you'll do. So find training that you enjoy, pick exercises you like, pick ones that you'll actually do. And the best exercise you want to do, the best diet is the one you'll follow. So pick a meal plan and pick something that's flexible enough and sustainable enough that you will follow it, that you'll follow through with it, because consistency truly is key. But as you can see, what we're trying to explain and express is you got to have fun with it. You got to fall in love with the process. We're strength and conditioning coaches. I'm leaning more into strength and conditioning now in the past few years, just because I like strength and conditioning. I've liked powerlifting. When I did bodybuilding stuff a few years back, I may throw some pictures up of some of these as well. They're not the best quality, but just so I have proof that I did them. I still did more strength training stuff. Like a couple of my friends that got me into bodybuilding, one of them, she always did a lot. I remember she did a lot of her sets in 12 to 15 rep ranges, and I still stuck with the 6 to 8 rep range, and I still did a 5x5 on some things. Did I do higher rep ranges than that? Yes, but there were still plenty of days that I wanted to do heavier weight, lower rep. That's just my preference and style of training, and I've enjoyed it that way. That's why I ended up falling in love with powerlifting so much, because I don't have to do as many reps, and I can throw as much weight on as I can possibly do, and really focus on that instead of having to do it a certain way. I don't go running anymore. I do walks. I walk daily, and I try to walk outside as much as I can, and I do walk at a certain pace and an incline when I'm on the treadmill to make sure my heart rate reaches a certain range. But I don't do extreme running. I haven't done a single burpee since my kickboxing days. I haven't done one since then. You don't have to do all these specific miserable things. You can kind of mold it and create it with whatever you want to do. Like, to give you another example of how I do things nowadays, I was doing some conjugate powerlifting training. Then different things have had me switch within the past couple months, and I only did that for about probably 3 or 4 months, and now I'm back to doing more bodybuilding stuff, or just regular, more accessories and regular training like that. But I'm also throwing boxing in again as well, and throwing that kickboxing aspect in there, and hitting the bag, throwing some kicks, shadowboxing over here for those that don't have video. Careful, Brandy, you're gonna hurt me or you or something else in this room. Oh boy, Lord help us all. But I'm throwing in some boxing, hitting the bag, doing a speed bag, jumping some rope. So there's a lot more aspects there. But I'm doing it. Some of the changes have just been inspired because that's what I just wanted to do. I just, not that I got bored with conjugate, but
it was natural.
Yeah, it was natural, and it was an easy transition for me because, I guess the main reason was just something I'm trying to do with demonstration videos for business and stuff like that. So I want to start with the simpler stuff first to get something up now and get people started. But so I went back to that. That was an easy transition for me because I already knew what I was doing, and I knew I used to do that for years, train that way, so it's something that I fell back on that I enjoyed, so it was easy to switch up. And so if we reflect on the last 6 months of my training, some of it was powerlifting, strength-based training, and then now it's still strength training. I'm still lifting heavy, still doing my sets of 5 and sets of 6 and different things like that, depending on where I want to be at with certain lifts. But it's a different style of training. Or, about a year ago this time, I did a bunch of home workouts. Everything was done here in this room, just on the other side of the room over there, where I had some dumbbells and a resistance band. So I had my season of figuring out the home workouts, what you'll see on the site and everything as well. So, training can change and vary from time to time. You can switch it up fairly often. The main thing is that you're getting in there, you're getting uncomfortable, you're pushing yourself, and you're having a good time and being safe.
Amen.
So you can really make this into your own thing. That, to me, is the beauty of health and fitness, strength and conditioning, is this journey you're on, figuring out how your body works. This is going to take the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But that is okay, and that is what's beautiful, because you get to take the time and discover who you really are and what kind of vessel you have. You may respond to other types of training. You may enjoy other types of training a certain way, and you can really, it's like a good way, and it's beneficial for everything. It's beneficial for your spiritual walk. It's beneficial for self-improvement. It's beneficial for figuring out who you are, and it makes you a better individual.
Well, and more than that, then it also, it kind of helps you deal with the struggles that you're going through.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I use that as an outlet.
Absolutely.
Like that's one area that God has given you control over your life.
Yeah.
Is what choices are you going to make?
And you're in control of that pain.
What kind of, are you going to have discipline and, being able to be in control of those kind of things. We are all about, hey, be intentional with your movements. Be controlled with all of your movements. And that is one area that you can have control in for the most part. I mean, we go in, we can test our bodies, we learn things as we go, but that's where the coaching comes in. That's where having somebody who's already been through that is so nice, because then you don't have to go through all the trial and error as much as you would have doing it completely by yourself. Yeah. But so knowing that, like, hey, I'm going through challenges. I'm going through struggles. There are things that are hard for me. There are times I need accountability, and then whenever I look for it and I find that accountability, that helps me get through the hard times. Yeah. That helps me get my mind off of everything else and to be able to just have time where, like, that's kind of my me time, but not even, because we're also trainers, so, like, we're always helping somebody.
Especially now that we're online.
Yes, online and in person, baby. So we're always helping people. But so it's not always me time, but that is an area, that's a time of my day where I'm able to just go, and anything that I just feel worried about or like I'm anxious, I feel like I can just go in there. Or if I'm upset or angry about anything, I can just go lay it all out at the gym. I can just
channel that anger.
I can just get it all out. That's
okay. That's where
get my frustrations out. Yeah. Because don't ever tell me that you've never experienced feeling like you just have all this pent-up rage inside you, where you maybe have shoved things down and you feel like you're having to stay quiet and you're feeling like you can't share anything. There is an outlet that you can utilize that is just there. It's waiting for you. I promise it's going to be okay. You can do that, and it'll probably improve your situation. It'll probably help in way more areas than you realize. Yeah. And so it's worth it. Making time, prioritizing that is worth fitting that into your schedule.
Yeah. And it's not a part-time job like everybody thinks. Like, we'll go ahead and drop reference to time breakdown video, and I don't know, we'll figure out a way for people
put in that bio below
to plug it somewhere, somehow it'll be attached, cross-referenced with this. But we've managed to figure out a way that it's about 6 to 8 hours a week. You're supposed to be getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. We're just asking for 6 hours a week, and we try to include meal prepping and your habits and your workouts with all that as well. But, yes, you do have to manage your time. I mean, it doesn't matter what you're doing in life, your sister with 5 kids has to manage her time. Yes. Our semi-retired bosses at the gym have to manage their time because they have several other revenue streams and avenues and other things that they do on top of running a gym. We have to manage our time because now that we're, as much as we enjoy going back to face-to-face training at this elite gym, and the fact that we were invited, I think, I just love that we were invited to do this. We didn't ask for it. We got invited, which was really cool. That's a privilege and an honor that, I don't know, I feel like
we were able to just go.
I feel like I made it as a coach when somebody asked me to train at a place. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just kind of how I was. That's how kind of I've always looked at it. But
it's worth prioritizing even when you're busy.
yeah,
It is okay to prioritize. It is important to prioritize it.
And just to give and to give more of another example, like we've been training at the gym and stuff, but now that we do online personal training and face to face, it still feels like we're running two different things in two different shows, and spend the
it's like two different jobs.
Yeah, like not to sit here and try to make it sound like our lives are crazy. But, you spend all morning at the gym, you get a workout in, train your few clients, maybe run a class or two, whatever crazy stuff we're up to that day. But then we come home and it's like, I got to sit down at the computer now and write and go from training and everything being hands-on, and now I'm trying to write a guidebook, or I'm trying to create a content piece or something. And so it's just hard to switch gears on that as well. So we understand, time management's important. Managing your time, having the discipline to do it consistently, and I think that's the other thing too, is understand that it takes time to be able to master these skills. So whenever you do try to get your time down to the 6 hours a week or 8 hours a week, you might it might be 10-15 hours the first couple weeks, but then you get your time down faster because you get more efficient at doing things and more used to them. Same with your meal prepping, how you go about doing it. You find better cooking methods, just to give you a few ideas and details.
Well, and then you as you learn, you get that that autonomy and that mastery, and whenever you get that, you're not hesitating so much. You're not wasting as much time. You're not procrastinating as much.
And it helps give you purpose.
And it helps give you purpose throughout your day. When you have things that you're like, okay, I need to get these things done. If you have those things that you have already signed up to do, then you kind of get out of bed a little bit easier. Because you know that you have things to do. And so, especially for people who might be struggling, being able to have something to do, that's going to help you a lot to get out of those bad places sometimes. Because then okay, well, I still have to take 3 10-minute walks today.
Yeah.
At least it's only 10 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
Then you can get out and get outside. Being in that sunlight and breathing that fresh air, that honestly could actually help a lot.
Yeah.
That first walk, if you were to do that in the morning time, that first walk could change the entire outlook of your day just because you simply got outside. And it's done that before. Being able to take that mental break and just take a walk, or drinking water helps you have more energy, and allows you to eat. If you don't have an appetite, drink more water. That'll expand your stomach and you'll be able to consume more food.
I've noticed that myself personally. That happens to me a lot. If I don't keep up with my water, I don't eat as much. If I keep up with my water, I realize that I'm not saying I'm starving all the time, but I realize I can eat way more. So
if you're like trying to increase your calorie intake, if you're struggling with that, that's something that you can do, or which is
kind of weird now that you think about it, because it works both ways. Because it works for me, one, to eat more, but we always have that for our weight loss clients. Had another client. Got a shout out to this one too. May even put the social proof up on that. I don't know, because it's this will be a more permanent thing. But I had a client recently that, through different circumstances with starting late, they haven't even really started the program yet. We just gave them their habits, and from getting the gallon was the hardest habit. It took them a week or two to get going on it. Once he got the gallon in consistently, he dropped 7 pounds in like a week. That's not that's not typical. You don't want to do that consistently, but that's a phenomenal.
But that's
jump.
The power of drinking water,
and that is a phenomenal jump start too.
Being
for
hydrated.
Somebody wanting to do that, and that's the power of water, baby.
Yeah. So it's incredible how those little things, like those habits, can give you purpose throughout your day, and can show you so much, and can help your body in so many different ways. So, but to kind of tie all this together in a neat little bow.
Yeah.
Conclude what is it about going through these challenges, but then being able to see those results, or being able to see progress.
Yeah.
Where does that fall in the balance scale? What would you say?
Balancing out the
like your struggles, and then what you get out of it.
I think some of it is your perspective, just understanding like the benefits and being able to and being able to see and recognize all the benefits to it, and knowing that you worked hard and accomplished something just for the sake that you were able to do it. Like, change is so unbelievably hard, and our bodies, our flesh fights it every step of the way.
Every step.
It doesn't matter if you're trying to lose weight, gain weight, put on muscle, cut your fat, just be able to run a mile, try to bench press, 250 pounds. I'm throwing examples out there. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do. Having that discipline and understanding you need to make changes somewhere in your life to a certain degree to be able to progress in a certain way, very certain. It's going to require change. It's going to require change. It's hard,
But it's good.
Absolutely.
That's where growth happens.
And that's where growth happens. Resilience happens. In my personal experience in life, the 3 to 4 different ways that you could vastly grow and improve yourself. Obviously, first one's follow Christ. That's kind of a given. That's why I say 3 or 4, because it depends on whether or not you want to count it, since it's pretty self-explanatory there. But get in the best shape possible. That requires resilience. Running a business, starting a business, running a business, and then and you can do them separately. You can throw them together. I've kind of thrown them together, but get in the best shape possible, run a business, and then be married.
And then do it all together.
I was going to say, and I was crazy enough to do it all together. I don't know where I ended up with this. I guess God's got some kind of crazy plan for me, because here I am doing everything all at once, and it's the hardest thing ever. What have I done to myself?
Right?
Yeah. But that's how I'd wrap that up. Yeah, have that change of perspective. Take the time and be willing to learn and understand. I know, and it's not, you already know you're not perfect. I'm not trying to say like, oh, you got to understand you're not perfect and you're human. Give yourself that grace. Understand that you're going to make mistakes. Understand you're going to have struggles. But, and just like anything else in life, everybody, coaches motivate it in their sports, entrepreneurs and business coaches say it too. Learn from your mistakes. Don't be afraid to fail. Learn from your mistakes. Have fun with it. Fall in love with the process.
Yeah.
When you learn and take the time to learn, stuff becomes simpler. Stuff becomes much more crystal clear.
Yep.
And then you're not procrastinating as much anymore. The more you know how to do something, the mastery part of it helps motivate you and helps keep you on track as well.
Yep.
Yes, we're tired. Yes. I don't always feel good. Yes, we have all these we're busy.
We have our down days.
We don't sleep well. We're busy. We have all these.
I got my time.
Yeah, we have these adversities, but what has also helped us be able to overcome them is the fact that we've taken the time, we've put the repetitions in, we've made the mistakes, especially me. We've made the mistakes in order to learn from them, and we have that understanding to have the discernment, to understand the whole process, to have that perspective and mindset shift, like you said, to where, hey, nutrition's easy. I just got to be able to do it every day a certain way.
Yeah, but it doesn't always have to look perfect. But knowing that, like you said, giving yourself some grace. That hey, my everything in my health and fitness is not gonna look picture perfect, but that's okay. So knowing you're gonna make mistakes, but you're gonna learn from them. And you can always go to someone for help. Don't ever be afraid to ask somebody for help. Because that takes a lot of courage to even ask.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting here and I'm seeing this sign, which it has coach.
Oh.
And then it defines what a coach is, and it says a coach is a passionate, dedicated individual who unlocks hidden potential and maximizes a team's performance by believing, encouraging, and developing. If you hear that and you think, man, I could use that in my life, I'm telling you right now, 100%, I agree. You could, because I know that has helped me in my life tremendously. I know that everybody can use a coach. Everyone could use that. So
coaching works, and coaching works for everyone, and everybody needs a coach. Yeah. I did not get where I'm at without learning from personal trainers, having mentors that took me under their wing, and were willing to put up with me long enough Oh, I'm telling you. And I'm still doing it, praise God. I even married her. Holy cow.
I'm still learning to this day. I'm still learning from Nick.
Me too. But then to sit there and say, hey, I'm not perfect. And even after I've done this for a decade and I've done the 16 years of training and the 8 or 9, 10 years of nutrition now and the lifestyle and all that stuff and all the certifications, everything, all the schooling I've went through, I still find people to learn from.
Yes.
I still find people and coaching to invest in to help make sure I'm moving forward. Amen. I am just a product of the teaching that I've gotten, and I'm just trying to pass the torch along. You know, I when I first started my personal training journey, I started job shadowing a personal trainer through school. So I had a mentor to teach me everything there, and then I went from that, and I had another personal trainer who mentored me to do my bodybuilding stuff, or to do my men's physique and bodybuilding stuff. And then, whenever I did the kickboxing, I had to have a coach and a mentor to help make sure that I didn't die in the ring and I was actually able to do what I needed to do. I'm going to also try to find pictures of everything as I'm naming this off. I think it'll be good. But as I'm doing all this, I had to submit myself to the process and understand that somebody knew more than me and I was going to have to let them teach me. Same with powerlifting. I mean, I kind of did it. The one meet I've done, I was my own coach. I took care of everything myself, but I still had my wife there to encourage me, to help make sure that I was accountable with my nutrition. Yes. I still had a friend there at the gym who met up with me and worked out with me every day. Almost every day. He was there 3-4 times a week. We constantly bounced ideas off each other's head. He constantly was giving me suggestions, critiquing my form. I remember back then when I was squatting, the main thing I struggled with was bar path. And so that was something Christian used to always tell me was, you got to fix your bar path. Hey, you have a really crappy bar path. Hey, bar path is better, and I've heard bar path in those 3 months more than I'd ever heard in my entire life and probably ever will. But it was eventually drilled into my head. And so the point I'm trying to make here and impress upon you is everybody needs it. Everybody can benefit from it. You're going to pay for it whether